You walk into a room, someone sees your face. Before you say hello, their brain has filed a verdict. You've heard it take 7 seconds. That number is wrong. Princeton researchers flashed people a face. Barely a glimpse. 1/10 of 1 second? In that sliver, a judgment locked in. Trustworthy, competent, threat or ally. Longer exposure barely changed a thing. Your brain is running ancient software before hello even starts. Princeton, 2006. 2 researchers want to know how fast. They flash strangers' faces at volunteers on a screen. Each face on screen for 100 milliseconds. 1/10 of a second, 1 blink. In that sliver, your brain has already decided. Trustworthy or not, strong or weak. Then they gave other volunteers more time, a full second. The verdicts barely shifted at all. The judgment was already locked in that first flash. So what exactly is the brain doing in that first moment? It is not running through a careful checklist. It collapses everything down to 2 questions. The first, can I trust this person? The second, how strong are they? Every impression you have ever formed maps onto these 2 axes. Researchers call them trustworthiness and dominance. 2 ancient dials running constantly without your permission, and the reading is in before you say a word. But why does your brain do this at all? The answer is 50,000 years old. Picture open grassland, no city, no safety net. A stranger steps out of the trees. You have 1 second to decide threat or ally. Wait too long and you might not survive. The snap judgment was not a glitch. It was the system keeping you alive. We inherited that hardware whether we need it or not. The moment you step into a room, it fires. But the body doesn't wait for the mouth. Your posture opens wide or it closes off. Your eyes find a place to land or they drift. Micro-expressions cross your face in milliseconds. Tiny signals the other brain cannot help but read. The person across from you catches every flicker. Your body is already deep in the conversation, and the mouth hasn't even opened yet. Picture yourself walking into a job interview. You haven't answered a single question yet, but the hiring manager is already forming a verdict. A survey of hiring managers found something striking. 84% said nonverbal signals significantly shaped their judgment. Not the resume sitting on the desk, not a single word you've spoken. The way you walked in, the handshake, the eye contact. You are being evaluated before you are heard. And there is a name for what happens next. The halo effect. In 1920, a psychologist named Thorndike turned to the Army. He asked officers to rate their soldiers across many traits. Physique, intelligence, leadership, loyalty. The scores moved together, suspiciously closely. Rate a soldier as strong, and you almost certainly rated him smart. One trait was casting light or shadow over everything else. Your halo begins forming before you open your mouth. A lecturer walks into a classroom. Some students are told he is from a prestigious university. Others hear he is merely below average. Same man, same voice. The prestige group estimates him nearly 6 centimeters taller. One sentence rewrote what their eyes had seen. The halo works on paper too. Same essay, 2 different author names. The unusual name costs nearly a full grade. The words are identical. The judgment is not. So here is where it gets strange. Sometimes the snap judgment is eerily accurate. Researchers showed strangers silent 2-second clips of teachers. People who had never met those teachers in their lives. Those strangers rated the teaching quality almost identically to students who sat in class all semester. 2 seconds matched an entire semester of experience. But the same system also fails spectacularly. The brain is fast, it is not always right. So what can you actually do with all this? There is one quality the brain rewards almost instantly. Confidence, but not the kind you perform. Real confidence comes from preparation and self-awareness. Arrogance comes from somewhere else entirely. It is fueled by a need to perform, a need for the room to confirm what you feel. But here is the strange part. For exactly 1 moment, the 2 look identical. But genuine confidence has a different texture. It doesn't need to perform, it settles. The speech is slower without trying to be. Not hesitation, just someone with nowhere to rush. There is always a pause before the answer. The body holds still, no fidgeting, no leaning. The eye contact invites rather than demands. These are signals the nervous system sends. It produces them when it simply is not afraid. Here is the last piece, and it flips everything. The most interesting person in the room often says the least. They ask one genuine question, and then they actually listen. Not performing attention, actually absorbing what the other person says. Research shows that when someone feels truly heard, their brain lights up. The reward circuit fires: warmth, recognition, pleasure. And they remember you as fascinating. You barely said a word, and yet they walked away thinking you were fascinating. Here is what was happening inside their brain. A 2015 study scanned people while they talked in a scanner. Researchers made one group feel truly listened to. The brain's reward circuit switched on, the same pathway that responds to food, even to music. Being heard, really heard, is neurologically pleasurable. Their brain then remembered the whole conversation more warmly. The listener gets the credit, but here is where it gets uncomfortable. That first impression, it sticks. Once the brain locks in a verdict, it starts filtering. New information gets bent to fit the original story. You do something great, but the frame is already set. One good moment won't undo a bad first one. Psychologists call this the primacy effect. To overwrite it, you need repeated, consistent counter-evidence. The first frame is the hardest one to edit, but it can be edited. Not by one impressive moment, those rarely land. What rewrites the story is repetition. Reliability, arriving again and again. Small kindnesses that weren't performed, just given. Honesty when silence would have been easier. The brain is stubborn, but it is not blind. Enough evidence and the old verdict starts to shift. Not because you fooled it, because you changed the data. Authentic behavior, repeated, is the only edit that sticks. So here is where all of it lands. First impressions open doors. Understanding the science means you walk through them more clearly. But a door is not the room. Character is what fills it. The snap judgment gets you noticed. What you do after that is who you are. You will never walk into a room quite the same way again. People may remember your first impression, but they will remember your character even longer.